So after that, we will start with that. So, the like again giving a short description about the name of the text, calling Lama from Afar. So here we have calling, so everybody knows what it's meant by calling. And then we have Lama. So Lama is a Tibetan word. And here we have two words when we say Lama. And there's La and then there's Ma. La means almost like, actually it La means Lana Neba. So we call it in short La, only La, which is like almost like uncomparable, or whom cannot be compared, or who is supreme or something like that. So there is one word which describes uncomparable, because we say it's he or she is uncomparable because he is the one who is showing us the way. And by showing us the way, we can get enlightenment. So that is why we believe that he is or she is the most supreme, or who cannot be compared. So that is why we call him La. And then the second word is Ma. Ma means Ma, or mother. So in most of the languages, I think we have that Ma at least there. Like in Tibetan, we say Ama. Nepali also say Ama. In English, we say mother. So most of the sentence, I think it is derived from Sanskrit, or maybe. So most of the languages in the world, they use Ma, whether in the front or back. So there's this Ma. And why do we say Ma? And we say Ma because in general, when we are talking about love, or when we are talking about compassion, the one human who is or who can love the most is the mother. And very rarely it's not true, but in general, if we can give one example, it's the mother who loves the most, and they love the children the most. And almost everything they do is for the children. So first they born the children, and then they take care of the children, they try to educate the children, they try to guide the children, and they try to make the children very happy. And even if the mother needs to eat like leftover, but they will try to give the best food, best clothes to the children, something like that. And that is very, very general. It's not only in one part of a country, it's almost everywhere in the whole world. So mother is like the supreme human being who can show, or who can give the most compassion, or who can give the most loving kindness. So the love that is shown by the mother is almost uncomparable. So that is why when we give any example of loving kindness, or compassion, or generosity, or something like that, we usually give the example of mother. And obviously, but some people might think that my mother is not so good, but there are some cases where the mother is not so good to the children, but that is very, very rare. We cannot give any example which is almost 100% right. But more than 99%, I think, when we are talking about compassion, or when we are talking about loving kindness, the love that is shown by the mother to the children, it cannot be compared. So that is why when we are talking about teacher, the first part is he is uncomparable, because it's not only the path that he shows, it's also the education, or the knowledge, or enlightenment that our teacher possesses. So that is also almost uncomparable, because he is like the most divine for us, and he is like the one who shows us the way. So that is why he's uncomparable. And not only that, just having all this doesn't help, but he needs to show us compassion. And sometimes if the teacher doesn't have any compassion, and when he teaches, then he gets very frustrated very easily, very angry very easily, and then it is quite difficult, because when the children, or when the student, when they ask their mother or the teacher, sometimes it's very difficult to understand. And if they keep on asking, sometimes the teacher or the mother get frustrated. But if they have very good compassion, good loving kindness, then they won't get frustrated. So they will try to explain as much as they can. They will try to show us the best way which is for us and which will be beneficial for us. So that is why whenever we are looking for a teacher, uh, we need to check these two qualities. And usually when we look at so many different texts, there are so many uh, different ways where they describe the teacher. Some and these days, when since this is a degenerate age where it is very difficult to find a perfect teacher, and if we always try to look for a perfect teacher, then it's almost impossible. It's not impossible, but still it's quite almost impossible because we hear so many things, we see so many things, and sometimes they are true, sometimes they are not true, sometimes they are just rumors, and then it's quite confusing. But what we can do is we can get a teacher who is more educated than us, who has more knowledge about the teaching than us, and who has compassion to us. If we find a teacher like that, that is also very beneficial. And if sometimes we just look for the perfect teacher, then it's almost impossible to get one. And then we will look, we find someone, we find fault, and then we go to another teacher, again find fault, and then again find another teacher, and then again find something or hear something. Then we keep on changing and changing and changing, and then we will not end up with a teacher. But right at the beginning, if we just like look for a teacher who can or who has more understanding. So when we are talking about understanding here, we are talking about the dharma. So if he or she has much better, the more understanding of the dharma, then it's much better. And then if he or she has great compassion, then that is the best. So these two, if our teacher has, then I think it's quite safe for us, because sometimes even if we find a teacher, sometimes we might a teacher who uh, will not be that decent, who will take advantages of you. And we have heard so many things and read so many things. But if our teacher is more qualified and more educated in Dharma than us, and if he or she has compassion to us, then he will never show or never guide us in the wrong path. So they will always guide us in the correct path. And when we follow the correct path, then we will get enlightenment much easier. So that is why mm, we need to get a teacher, and that is the meaning of La Ma. And then the second one is Yang or calling from afar. And when we are saying here calling from afar, it doesn't mean physically afar, it means mentally afar. And sometimes, even when we are with a root teacher, or even when we are living in the same house or the same monastery or the same building, and even if we are living in the same house, we might feel very far from him. And sometimes, even if we are living in a different country from our teacher, then again, sometimes we might feel very near to him. So it's not the physical aspect, it's the mental aspect, how you think. And for an example, the more we think we are closer to our Lama, then it's much better for us. Because, for an example, like when we are a kid and when we are with our mother, most of the kids, like us, we try to behave as good as we can, or with our teacher. So we think that when they see us doing good, then they will be good to us. So that is why we try to be very good when we are with our elders or when we are with our teachers or something like that. Then we try to be very good. And even our manners get very good, our behaviors will get very good. And the way we speak, yeah, we try to talk politely. We try not to speak harsh words. We try not to speak bad words, and we try to do everything quite good. But as soon as our teacher is not there, as soon as our mother or father is not there, then sometimes we change. The action that we do is little different from when they are right there. So just like that, when we call Lama from Afar, and then when we believe that he is very near to us, then that makes a difference. Because when we believe that he is very close to us, he is right next to us, then we try to be more decent. We try to put in more time in our practice. We try to the practice that we do. We try to do it much in better way. And yeah, for just an example, when we are in puja, and when your teacher is there, and if you are sitting right in front of him, you try not to fall asleep. You try to sit diligently. You try to dress diligently. You try to focus more diligently. But if you are only in your house just practicing yourself, we most of the time get little lazy and little dull. So that is a difference that is very easy for us to understand or for us to know. It makes a huge difference when the teacher is there right in front of you, and when we do this calling the Lama from Afar, and when we try to remember him more and more, when we feel the connection, then it feels like his presence is right in front of us. And then we practice. And then when we practice, because we believe that he is right in front of us, we try to put in more effort, we try to put more diligence, we try to practice more. And when we do that, and obviously it gets better result. So that is like a very short summary or description about the name of the text, Lama Kyangbo, or calling Lama from afar. Because sometimes people might think that, oh, I'm living with my teacher in the same place. He's not afar. I don't need to do this. But it doesn't mean that. It means the mental aspect. And the more we think we are far from our Lama, then there is more chance of us getting spoiled. The more we think that we are, or he or she is close to us, there's more chance of us being a better student. So that is why we need to believe that our Lama is very near to us. He is looking at us. He is seeing at us. And when we feel that, we always try to do much better. So that is why we need to have that feeling, and that is why we need to do this prayer. And this prayer, we keep on reminding that our Lama is right here. And that is it. And after that, we will go from the text. So here the text says, Guru Padma Sambhava, think of me, regard me of Chamara, the realm of lotus light, as I am without refuge in this dark age, protect your helpless disciple with your swift compassion. So here we are visualizing our Lama as Guru Pema Chone or Guru Padma Sambhava. And we are requesting him to look at us, and so that, again, just like I have mentioned before, so that we will be able to practice more. And when he guides us, then when we practice, then we will gain enlightenment much easier. So we are just requesting him to look at us and show us the way. And the helpless people like us who don't know how to do the practice, who don't understand the teaching, and who still believe that we will be living forever, who still believe that we will not be going to die, and we are wasting so much time, we are so helpless, and we are requesting him to look at us with compassion, give us teaching. Just looking at us won't help. So when we are saying look at us, we are asking them to look at us and show us the way. And here Pema June or Guru Padma Sambhava is like one of the most famous Buddhist masters. So most of the people here, they call him as the second Buddha, because when there were no any Buddhism in Tibet, so he was the one who like had the most biggest hand in establishing Buddhism in Tibet. And before him also there were quite a few great masters who tried to establish Buddhism in Tibet, but they were all very unsuccessful. But he, Guru Padma Sambhava, he is an Indian great master. So the kings from Tibet, they invited him, and he visited Tibet, and then he made the first monastery in Tibet, and from that the Buddhism in Tibet grew. And then he had like very special 25 main disciples, and we believe that from these 525 disciples, one was Shubhu Palki Singye, and most of the Kaki masters they believe that our very venerable Thangur Rinpoche is a reincarnation of this great master. So also because of that, we think that we have great connection with Guru Padma Sambhava. And since I am giving this talk from the Baudhanath Stupa here, and as most of the people know that there is a big stupa here, so we are not exact like the date, but when before there was a very old lady, so I'll give a very short description about this stupa. And she went to the king here, and then she said that I need a land, and then the king said, "Oh, how much land do you need, and why do you need the land?" And she said, "Oh, I want to build a Buddhist stupa." And the king said, "Oh, so then that is a very good deed you are going to do." And he said, "Oh, how big land do you need?" So she said, "Oh, I just need a land as big as the skin of a cow or something, or buffalo or something like that." And then the king said, "Okay." So because usually it's quite small, but what she did was she just how do you say, flattened the skin and then took it all out. And I think so she made like a string from the skin, and then she made it like a very big and then a round one, and then it became so big. And then later she went to the king, and this is the land that I need because this is the size of the skin. And then the king couldn't say anything because he had already promised that he will give the land. So he had to give. So the one name of this stupa is Charung Kashyor because it means that uh, I already gave my word that you will you will be able to do, or I will let you do. So something like that. And when the lady was building or making the stupa, I think she had like four sons. So they all helped during the stupa, and then they made the stupa. And after the stupa was done, all of these four great sons they made prayers, and they all made prayers that we be able to flourish the Buddhist Dharma. And if we are able to do that, then it will benefit so many sentient beings. So all of these four great masters they made these prayers, and because of that prayers in their next life or a few lives after that, they were all able to take Buddhism from India to Tibet. And from these four sons, one was the king in Tibet at that time, and then one was Guru Padma Sambhava, and then one was the great master, and then one was the one who was inviting Guru Padma Sambhava from India to Tibet. And then four of them all together, because of the prayers that they had made in the great stupa, so they were able to meet, and then they were able to flourish the Buddhist Dharma. And from Tibet, it gradually spread all over. And that is why, because of the tremendous help of Guru Padma Sambhava, we consider him as the second Buddha. Because if he didn't come to Tibet, it was almost impossible for the Dharma to spread. So that is why we call him the second Buddha. And a short description about the Bodhanath Stupa here, and how our lineage or Thangur Rinpoche's lineage is also connected with the Guru Padma Sambhava. So we are requesting him to show us the way and help as easily as possible. And then the second stanza, and here Guru Yeshit Sogil, think of me, regard me from the celestial city of great bliss. Though I have done much evil, free me from the ocean of existence into the great city of liberation. So here we are visualizing, or we are thinking of our root guru as Yeshu Sogil. So she was like the consort of Guru Padma Sambhava, and people like us who have committed so many crimes. mm, may we be able to pacify all our sins, and may we get enlightenment. So please help us in getting us enlightenment. And talking about Shisogyo, so many people these days ask how come there are only male Rinpoches in Tibet or in Buddhism, Vajrayana Buddhism? How come there are not any female Rinpoches? So that is also quite a good question, but from my way or the understanding that I have, it was because it's not that we don't have any Rinpoches or great masters who are female. We do have so many great masters. We have like Ishizo Sogyal, and we have like Machi Lapton, and quite a few. But obviously, when compared to the men, they are less. And like Machi Lapton, the one who composed the text of Chui practice, so uh, is also very special, is also very realized lady practitioner. And the practices that we do in Tibet, all the practices of Vajrayana Buddhism that we do in Tibet are brought from India and then taken to Tibet. And then people started to practice in Tibet. But a practice like Chö is not like that. It's very different because Machi Labdra, she started the text of Chö in Tibet, and then from Tibet it slowly spread and spread, and then it went to India, and then people in India also practice this Chö. So we do have great masters like her who were very famous, who were very realized, who were very enlightened, and uh, who were able to show us the way. So it's not like we don't have uh, any female masters, so we do have them. And obviously, we have less numbers of female because, as we all know, there are less female monks or less nuns in the monastery than the monks. And obviously, when you have more male practicing Buddhism, then obviously you will have more male person who are more knowledgeable or more male person who are educated. But these days it's changing. There are quite a lot of females, or there are quite a lot of nuns who are becoming nuns. But back then we didn't have so many nuns, and we didn't have so many female practitioners who are practicing. And when we have less people practicing, we will obviously have less result. And when we have more men practicing, we will obviously have. So compared to maybe when we are talking about percentage, I think maybe we have more female realized masters. But when we are talking only about numbers, then we do have a lot of enlightened or great male practitioners. So it's the way how we look. It's not that because sometimes people think that only the males are getting enlightened, or only the males are Rinpoches, or only the realized masters are male. So maybe the females, they don't have any possibilities of getting enlightenment or getting educated or getting like that. But it's not like that. We, whether we are male or whether we are female, we all have the equal understanding or equal karmic relation to get enlightenment, because we say that we have Buddha nature. The Buddha nature that we have, or the male have, or the Buddha nature that the female have, it's exactly the same. There is no any difference whether we are male or whether we are female. And it's just a misconception that sometimes people think that, when we are saying women, then there is no possibility of getting enlightenment, or this. I don't think these are true. These are just people sometimes because of not understanding, or sometimes because they don't want to understand, so they will just say something like that. But from what we were taught, we do believe that whether we are born as a male or whether we are born as a female, we have the equal opportunity to gain enlightenment. So it doesn't make a difference the body that we have. It's the mind that needs to get enlightenment. So even if we are male or female, if our mind gets enlightenment, then we also get enlightenment. So it doesn't make a difference. And after that, the next line, Lineage gurus of the karma and dharma, think of me, regard me from the expanse of the unified wakefulness. In my mind, I gave dark with confusion, make the sun of realization dawn. So here we are requesting all the lineage gurus to think of me and wake me up, because till now we are living in ignorance. And when we are saying like I gave dark confusion, we are saying that we are living in ignorance. We don't know which is the right way, we don't know which is the correct way, we don't know which is the correct path. So when we are taking the wrong path, it is like in a cave which is dark, or a place where we don't know well. And when we have like that, we will always be going into, most likely going into a wrong direction. And it doesn't matter, because whether we have been living in this cave for a very long time or a short time, because like for an example, if there are like two caves, so one have been dark for like 100 years, and one of the cave has been dark for only 10 years, and both are exactly the same darkness. They both have the same darkness. But as soon as you go inside, and then if soon as you put on a matchstick, as soon as you burn a fire, whether the cave has been in darkness for 10 years, or whether the cave has been darkness for 100 years, both of them will have light. Just because the other cave has been in darkness for 100 years, it doesn't mean that when you put on the light, it will take much longer time to get brighter. It doesn't happen like that. And whether it is like only 10 years, 100 years, 1,000 years, it's the same. As soon as there is light, you can see. So it doesn't matter whether we have been in this dark cave for a few lives, or so many lives, or one life. But as soon as we have the blessing of our Lama, and as soon as we gain some teaching from our Lama, then it is going to help us. And if when there's light, then we will be able to see in the cave very properly, and then we can get out of the cave. So just like that, when we have the great Lama, when we receive teaching from him, and then we will be able to get out of this darkness, or out of this ignorance, into enlightenment. So this is it, and I think half an hour is maybe till here, and we'll stop here. So I can went 3 stanzas today, and after that we will do the next week.